Hello and welcome to episode 102 of the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Howard Kravitz. Thank you so much for joining me on a very special episode. We're going to have a fantastic guest on from Note Pros to talk about what is going to be one of the best racing cards of the entire year this Sunday, the day after Christmas. It's opening day at Santa Anita. If you are watching, please make sure you subscribe right there on the bottom right-hand side of the screen if you've not done that already. Then please make sure you smash that thumbs up button as well, that like button. So that'll tell YouTube this is a great show to watch. And then also, please hit that notification bell so you know when new content will rise on the show. Of course, you can see on my name tag there, you can reach me at @HKravitz on Twitter, and on the scroll on the bottom, hkravitzhorse at gmail.com. Now, for you folks that have watched this show for a while, you might be wondering, Howard, that's not the normal background you have. That'd be correct. I am actually not at home. I'm on the road. I'm in beautiful, sunny Florida. Why am I there? Well, tomorrow on Thursday, I'm going to see in person the two horses that I partially co-own with my brother. I have a piece of two horses through Adelphi Racing Club. One of them is Salevo, a filly, and the other one is a Taproot colt. I'm going to King's Farm and Kinsman Farm in Ocala, Florida, to give them a little pep talk. Say, come on, horsies. Come on, young man, young lady. Let's make sure you're trained up and ready to go for next summer so you can win us some money and have some fun. So I'm very excited to see the two horses in person. They are still yearlings. They're about to turn 2. They're just learning how to become racehorses. That is why I'm on the road, and I'll be in Ocala, Florida tomorrow, Thursday. I'm very excited. But without further ado, and please, by the way, make sure you comment there on the top right-hand side of the screen. Any comments you have about our picks, our selections, any questions for Justin, who will be coming on here in just a second, any opinions you have about the show, or more specifically, a fantastic card at at Santa Anita on Sunday. I want to hear from you so we can have a great conversation. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and bring on this gentleman is from Note Pros. He does a fantastic job over there. He's an excellent handicapper. We're going to learn a lot from him. We're going to watch a lot of replays, I'm sure. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Justin Christein. Justin, how you doing today, sir?
I'm great, Howard. How are you?
I'm doing great. Sorry about the little tech problem we had there behind the scenes, but you made the quick adjustment you were on. How you doing today?
I'm great. Couldn't be any better. Almost on Christmas break, and so I'll have some time off, and definitely be tuning in on Sunday to this great Santa Anita card. I'm excited to dig in. Thanks again for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Justin reached out to me. I know he's been on some other shows, and of course, I'm a big fan of Note Pros. And I don't know if you've seen too much of the show, Justin, but I'm a huge Note player. I'm a big trip handicapper. I watch a lot of replays. I emphasize it a lot on our show. So we're very happy to have you on. For those of you that are not familiar with Justin, you can see questions on the bottom of the screen there, Justin, as well as questions from our audience. First, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got interested in horse racing in the first place.
So about 20 years ago, a friend of mine introduced me to horse racing just by going to our local OTB. And it didn't strike a chord with me right away. I was more into sports betting. So on a sports betting thread, some people were throwing their horse racing picks in there. I started playing those, and all it takes is to hit one of those to be hooked. And so I immediately, this was probably in the fall of the year, Empire Maker and Funny Side when the Kentucky Derby, the Triple Crown race. And I bet Funny Side in the Derby, and he won. And then I was hooked. I bought every book I could find on horse racing. I've read just about all of them. And shortly after that, started figuring out a way to watch replays. It was really expensive 15, 20 years ago. It was like
Yeah.
$15 a month for me to buy a subscription to get all the replays that I needed. But I figured out that was a handicapping methodology that spoke to me, that fit with my eye, fit with my brain. And I've been watching tons and tons of replays ever since as my main handicapping mode.
Terrific. And we have a lot of people. We're going to get into some of your handicapping modalities and talk about replays. We have a lot of people joining the show live. Let's see, we got it. We have Jimmy. Oh, yes. It is about 40 degrees warmer here than Chicago. So I'm very happy. My brother, Mike, thanks for joining the show. He is going to be joining me down in Ocala. I should say up in Ocala because it's north of where I am. Jim, Justin got a big fan of Trip Note Pros. It says Caroline, but it's actually Jim. So Jim is excited to have you on. Look who we have on also. Matt Miller, a friend of mine. If you don't know Matt Miller, Justin, he is the BCBC champion. He won the BCBC,
Sure.
The biggest live money tournament in the world.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, he's looking for our opinions for value lines on Hot Rod Charlie and Dr. Shivel. So we will definitely be talking about those two. Matt, great question. Thanks for joining the show as always. Justin, I got one more question for you before we get into the handicapping. I know we have a lot of handicapping, so I don't waste too much time. What information does Trip Note Pros provide? And then what interested you in their service? I think you touched on that a little bit already, but tell us a little about Trip Note Pros. And as you do that, I'm actually going to bring up the website, and also going to bring up the page on Santa Anita as well as you talk. Nice. So go ahead and just talk a little about Trip Note Pros, and then I'll go ahead and bring up the website as we speak, as well as the link as well.
Sure, Howard. Trip Note Pros is a website designated solely to writing detailed trip notes of each horse's last pertinent race. It may not always be the most previous on the sheet, and so you'll find trip notes. You'll find a race summary of their last race. You'll find bias notes from their last race, and you will find a summary of the trip at the very bottom, sort of giving you a summary of, sometimes I'll use that if I'm pressed for time. I go right to the summary at the bottom, and I can tell right away if I want to read that trip note in depth, or sometimes there won't be a summary, which means it was just a straightforward, exactly what the PP showed. But you get a detailed trip note for every horse on the card, except horses who are coming off long layoffs, because lots of times, obviously, then their last trip does not hold enough weight to do a write-up for them.
Can you talk about what people see on the screen here, Justin?
Yeah. So you can go to the Santa Anita website. Santa Anita is offering, they purchased the trip notes from Trip Note Pros from the first day through January 30th. So you go to their website, santanita.com/Trip Note Pros, and click on that. You fill in a few boxes. They send you an email, you confirm it, and then they send you an email when the trip notes from Trip Note Pros are posted, usually 24 hours before the first race. They send you a link, you click on the email, and boom, you got the trip notes for the whole card, and they're offering that for free up through January 30th. It's like it's like a $250, $270 value for free. So it's very cool of Santa Anita to do that.
That's fantastic, and obviously you're part of Trip Note Pros, so congratulations to you and everyone involved with Trip Note Pros, folks. If you don't do this for the first month, at least for free, you're making a big mistake. I've seen the trip notes, Justin. I think they're excellent. And what I like about the Trip Note Pros is not only to talk about a lot of bad trips, but they talk about good trips as well that you might not want to use the next time.
Yes.
Which is an angle I've talked about, Justin, a lot, because a lot of people, especially that are not as experienced, always hear people talk about, oh, what a horrible trip. What about that candy perfect trip that they might not get the next time with a horse that's going to be a complete underlay, meaning overbet. So that's an angle I've talked about on my show and my handicapping a lot. So folks, make sure you sign up for that. Any other thoughts or comments about Trip Note Pros you want to mention, Justin, before we get into the handicapping?
I think as a supplement to your handicapping, it's great. It's also a learning tool. I learned how to watch trip notes in a more productive way by just reading Benny's notes from the early days of Trip Note Pros. And the more you read, the more subtle things you'll understand to look for and how they affect a horse's performance in a given race. So I think it's just as important to utilize that as a way to sharpen your handicapping.
Absolutely. Benny South Street's his nickname. I
Yeah.
don't know if Ryan Flanders is his real
Ryan
name.
Flanders.
Ryan does a great job. And he's been involved with In the Money Media, and I work for In the Money Media also. I do some things for them as well. And so I mentioned this last week. Congratulations again to In the Money Media for second year in a row named best podcast in America through America's Best Racing. All right, let's get on. We have a lot to talk about, Justin. I know you're, and again, if we go too long, I was hoping we'd go on till about 6 o'clock Eastern, if that's too, or excuse me, 5 o'clock. Sorry, 5 o'clock Eastern. I'm usually on Central Time. I'm looking at the time. No, it's I'm sorry, 6 o'clock. I'm sorry. I'm looking at a computer that has the Central Time on it. I apologize, folks.
No problem.
If we can go to 6 o'clock Eastern, Justin, that'd be great. If you have to, leave before then, let us know. But folks, we're not only talking about the late pick 5, but we're also going to talk about the 2 stake races before that briefly, not quite as much. And Justin has a lot of trip notes. And like I mentioned to you, Justin, the email on this show, we use Formulator, DRF Formulator, and I'll be able to do easy clicks and watch a lot of replays. I have a few notes of myself that I'd like to bring up, and I'm going to let you mainly run the show in terms of the replays, because that's really why you have why we have you on here tonight. So, all right, let's go ahead, and I'm going to bring up the PPs here. Give me 1 second. Now, usually, folks, I'm not making excuses, but I'm on the road. I usually have 2 or 3 different other monitors. I'm just working on one today, adjusting because I'm in a condominium here in Florida. So just be patient here. But I'm going to go ahead and bring up the DRPPs. Also, folks, you're going to see picks at the bottom of our screen. Justin, you don't know my selections. I didn't know yours till a little bit while ago when I just checked my email. So you'll see picks on the bottom of the screen, folks, for our selections for each race. And Justin, as I go ahead and put up our picks for the first race here, which is going to be race 5, which you see there, let me go ahead and bring up the past performances here of race 5. And we will start with our fantastic journey through, Justin, this is always one of my favorite cards of the entire year by far. Let's talk about the first race. This is out of the pick 5 sequence. This is again, race 5, about, as you can see on the screen, about 4 o'clock Eastern. It's grade 2 San Gabriel stakes. It's 1.1 miles on the turf for older horses. And we see, of course, Justin's selection on the screen. Justin, talk about your top pick, which happens to be the same as mine in this race.
Yeah. So leading up to Breeders' Cup, I had a big trip on Hit the Road.
I saw that on the Magic Mike show.
Yeah, exactly. And he would have been 15-1 plus, and I was really excited to bet him because I thought he had a big shot, and then he ended up scratching. So yeah, that trip was that the comment line and the running line does not do that trip justice. It was a no chance turf trip for sure. Now, he's in a totally different spot. He's going to be, in fact, interestingly enough, the morning lines came up just a short while ago, and he's 8-5 in the morning line. My guess is he's going to be shorter than that. So I did make him my top pick. I read an article saying Dan Blacker doesn't know if he's going to be able to get the 1.1 miles, and he needed every single work. Blacker said, in order to get fit for today. That doesn't instill much confidence either.
Wow. I appreciate that information, Justin, because I've been on the road and I have not heard either one of those comments. So that's very, very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. And actually, Howard, I read it probably a half hour before I came on with you.
Okay.
So, he is my tepid pick. I'm interested actually in Bob and Jackie, and um, I think if this horse wants the lead, he's going to get it. It does depend on what Red Storm Risen does,
Yep.
because I think that horse is a headstrong horse, and I think that horse does his best running on the lead. I think he in his race two prior he fought some restraint, and he was rank, and so it all depends on what Red Storm Risen does. But Bob and Jackie can sit, and he had that tightener first off the layoff. He's 8-1 morning line.
So
I don't
I just want to, these PPs I just brought up literally about half an hour ago. So I'm not going to try to refresh these and try to, if I
no,
refresh it, the PPs or the morning lines might pop on there, Justin, but I don't really want to
yep,
mess with any of the
nope,
technology right now. So if you could just do us a favor and continue to give us the morning lines for these horses, which just came out throughout the show, I think
yeah,
myself and the fans would really appreciate it.
yeah,
All right,
yeah,
go
no,
ahead. 8-1 on Bob and Jackie.
yeah. So 8-1 on Bob and Jackie. Red Storm Risen is half that, 4-1,
Wow,
and
really?
he loves it on the front end. He's a horse on his last two. You can see pulled early, tugged. I'm talking about Red Storm Risen, and unless I know a horse like that is going to get the lead, I don't want any part of them, especially with Red Storm Risen now going off Lasix. Speed Horse is going off Lasix for the first time. Well, he did go off one other time in the City of Hope.
Right.
And I don't know. Unfortunately, that information is not available to us if he bled or not. But you know, I am going to play against him as the third choice. I'm going to play against Friars Road as the second choice at 5-2. I think it might be I think it might be a little short for him. And so
Okay.
I landed on Bob and Jackie as my second choice to hit the road. And if he goes off at 8-1 or higher, I think he's a good bet. I have this feeling he's going to come back into form, and he's going to run a good race today.
Well, it's I'll tell you what, this race just got a lot more interesting because I think everyone would agree if Hit the Road can get the distance, Justin, I mean, he's going to win this race. I mean,
Yep.
I've chased Hit the Road so often. I, like you, was interested in betting him in the Breeders' Cup Mile. Also because I just thought other than Space Blues, I just wasn't really that enthralled with anyone else in the Breeders' Cup Mile. So I don't think we would have gotten that 15-1, by the way. I think he would have been a sneaky, like a wise guy, kind of like 7 or 8-1. But anyway, that being said, the fact that you don't know, Lux, you don't want to bet favorites doing something they've never done before, right? It's the old adage. And this horse is getting an extra mile, an extra eighth. I don't know how much trainer speak that was from Dan Blacker, but he seems to be, pretty honest, straightforward guy. I do have concerns like you do, and then the work situation. I mean, he's coming off of a vet scratch, a 6 scratch, so there's definitely questions. My interesting horse, and again, folks, I want everyone to understand that I did not have morning lines when I made these selections on the screen, and actually Justin didn't really either because he sent me his picks. Full disclosure, before the morning lines came out. That's correct, Justin,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
I two back, Red Storm Risen got a rough trip because he was wrangled back, and I completely agree with you. This horse wants to run. Last time the field was much easier than this, but I love the Flavian angle. I understand Rispoli's going somewhere else. I really hope Flavian sends hard, and I see no reason why this horse can't win, Justin. I thought this horse would be more like 6 or 7-1, frankly. So the fact that he's 4-1 morning line, but you've got a favorite who you don't know about the distance. You're not sure about how fit he is, and there's not a lot of early speed in this race. The interesting thing I'll just mention, then we're going to go ahead and move on, Justin, because we got lots to talk about. I've chased Bob and Jackie for a long time because I always thought this horse had talent.
Yeah.
He just hasn't been very good lately. He's been completely regressing. I don't really know what the story is with this horse. He used to be, very good. If you look back earlier, I don't know if he's as fast as he used to be. And if Flavian sends, Justin, I think Red Storm Risen can slow it down and absolutely wire the field. However, that being said, I think the fly in the ointment for him is going to be the one that you like here a little bit, Bob and Jackie. Uh, Last thing I'll just say, Friars Road, Justin, 2 starts back, was like one of my like huge plays of the year on this show. He was like 12-1 morning line. I love Friars Road.
Yeah.
And then he took like, I don't know if you saw that race, he took like a ridiculous amount of money
Yep.
in the last few minutes, ticked down to 4-1.
Yeah.
Got an unbelievable ride and trip. I'm against him also. He can win this race, obviously. I don't know. The distance might be too short. Was that something you thought about also for him?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he wants every bit of a mile and a half. I think that's his game.
Yeah. So again, we can talk forever about this race, but we have other races to talk about. Justin and I think, are similar. We're taking the 4 on top, but we have our reservations, folks. Let's go on to the next race. I go ahead. Like I said, I'm going to have to be switching a little bit back and forth here. So let's go on to race 6. This is the beginning of the pick 6, which we're not really giving pick 6 tickets. This is a grade 2 San Antonio. It's for older horses. They're going a mile and the 16th, $200,000 for older horses. There is a horse here that sticks out like a sore thumb, and you can see our picks on the screen. And Justin is saying, "Oh no, I'm not going with Hot Rod. Let's go with someone else." He's going with my personal second choice. Talk about your picks here in the San Antonio, Justin.
Sure. So let's start with Hot Rod Charlie. Okay. It's obviously he's prepping for the Dubai World Cup. He's had a long campaign. I think he's much better going a mile and an eighth, a mile and a quarter. I think if Extra Hope gets in the mix early and 8 Rings, Badgers, Hot Rod Charlie, I think there's a scenario, Howard, where at 3 to 5, Hot Rod Charlie can get beaten. I've been waiting for Express Train to cut back to a mile and a 16th and a mile and an eighth for a while now. And I did like him in that last start on October 2nd in the Awesome Again. And he had a trip that day. He was 3 wide on the first turn. And then down the backside, he was in an in-between spot, which is not a lot of times not an easy spot for horses to be in. It's subtle trouble, but they get some horses get very uncomfortable racing in between horses.
Yep. And he's a big horse too, by the way. He's a bigger scopy horse.
Yes, correct. He is. And then he was stuck behind a 3-horse stack for much of the far turn. When he did find some room, he leveled out nicely. The cutback helps. And I think that there's a scenario where he sits a good trip in 4th. And if Hot Rod Charlie gets softened up enough, if a couple of those horses, Extra Hope and 8 Rings, put some amount of pressure on Hot Rod Charlie, there's a scenario that I can see him losing, and I think Express Train would be the one to run him down. Now, interestingly enough, 8 Rings is taking the blinkers off. I don't know what their plan is going to be, Baffert and Johnny Velasquez. They are sitting right outside of Hot Rod Charlie, so they can play the break. I think 8 Rings is faster than Hot Rod Charlie if he wants to be. So at 3 to 5, I'm gonna play against them, and I'm gonna try to get Express Train home on top.
Yeah, I have Express Train in second. This is now. I first of all, I like Hot Rod Charlie quite a bit as a horse. He was my top pick in the Breeders' Classic. Full disclosure, the trip didn't really work out because Medina Spirit got loose. I still thought he ran fine. He made a sort of a middle move, and then he was coming up on the inside on the in the stretch there, which is the place you didn't want to be in. No one was catching Nick's Go that day. I know I'm picking him on top, and it's sort of of course you are, but I don't know. There's something I think he makes some great points here. I'm going to use Hot Rod Charlie. Actually, if I play the pick 6 as an A. But I think you bring us some good points about Express Train. Might be better. Cutting back is 6 for 7 in the money, by the way, folks. It's Santa Anita. Did you give the morning line an Express Train, Justin? I can't recall if you did.
Let me just run them down, Howard. Extra Hope 20 to 1, Express Train 7 to 2, Go On 20-1, Hot Rod Charlie 6-5, 8 Rings 4-1, Kiss Today Goodbye 5-1, Azul Coast 5-1.
Kiss the Day Goodbye is 5-1 morning line. Wow.
Yeah,
I thought he'd be.
seems low, right?
And folks, I'm not like exaggerating my my expressions here, or because these are literally the first time. Again, I've been traveling all day, folks, and I greatly appreciate you, Justin, giving me this information.
Yeah,
I'm shocked. I think, and again, the morning is a John White, I believe, does the morning line out there. Does a great job usually. Kids Today Goodbye, I thought would be more like 10-1. I thought Hot Rod Charlie would be like 3-5 morning line. 6-5. You know, now let's talk real quick, and then we'll move on. Mm-hmm. Matt Miller commented, Justin, on the value line. Mm-hmm. If Hot Rod Charlie was 6-5, I would definitely consider putting a win bet on him. I know you are betting against Hot Rod Charlie, but let's just say, for argument's sake, you wanted to bet Hot Rod Charlie on the win end. Justin, what would be your value line on this horse?
6-5.
How low would you go?
6-5.
Yeah, I don't think I'd go below even money. I mean, now listen, you could say it is. I mean, maybe it's a prop. Okay, fine. I mean, he lays over this field by the numbers, except for Express Train, and Express Train really isn't that fast either. The one I'm interested in a little bit here is 8 Rings. Also, I'm hoping every time I see Bob Baffert, Justin, outside the big favorite, Bayern comes to mind. Don't ask me about that, because Shared Belief was one of my favorite horses of all time. Okay. But anyway, that's past history. This horse is fast. I don't know the plan. You know, Baffert's got another one, of course, Azul Coast to the outside. You know, so I still think they're going to ascend with 8 Rings. And that puts Hot Rod Charlie in sort of a weird situation. I would think Hot Rod's just going to let 8 Rings go and then come to the outside if he can. But I'm a little bit interested in 8 Rings. I don't know if this distance is best for him. But I guess, would that be sort of your sneaky selection other than Express Train?
Yeah.
Justin?
Yeah. I you make a great point, Howard, about Baffert having Azul Coast too. You know, he may send and say, he may you know, put the onus back on Hot Rod Charlie and say, we're going. You make a decision. What do you want to do? We're outside of you. We're going. If 8 Rings doesn't make the running, then that means it's probably heated up enough that Azul Coast can make a run from the back of the pack. So that's a great point, actually.
I mean, I really think I'm going to put us on. And again, I wasn't full. I'm going to put us back on screen here. Not that people need to see our faces, but usually I put my face. Sorry, not your face. My bad.
Mine too.
I'll speak to myself about myself. I like to put us on the screen when we see the PPs, so people can sort of see our reactions here. This is a very interesting race. Knowing Baffert, I think it's a dead send with 8 Rings. You say, you know what, Hot Rod Charlie, if you want to send, we're going to be right on your ass. That's how I see it, which, again, puts Hot Rod in a tricky spot. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next race. Now, the next race, Justin, let's see, we got a comment here. No. Okay, nothing to show there. Let's go ahead and start the pick 5.
Okay.
Before we get into the pick 5, Justin, are you a horizontal player, a vertical player? You like tries, you like pick 5s? And if you are a horizontal player, and obviously you looked at this sequence in detail, what are your general thoughts about this pick 5 sequence as a whole?
Yes,
difficult,
I am a horizontal.
Easy, you got to really go deep, etc.
Yeah. Yes, I am a horizontal player mostly. I will play win bets and exactas. I am not a very good trifecta player, admittedly. That's part of my game that I do have to work on. It doesn't fit in my brain. I have a hard time looking for horses running third, except in certain circumstances where a race, it really stands out that this is a race where I can try to attack the trifecta. So I'm mostly a horizontal player, and I like this sequence. I think you'll see later. There's a race where I'm gonna single. This is a race where I'm gonna narrow it down to 2. And I think there's a race later that is completely wide open that you have to spread in. And so I think it's a nice combination of, at least for me, of being able to narrow it down with some confidence, but still affords the opportunity for some prices and a nice payout.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think there's some favorites you can beat. Let's jump into the pick five. And again, folks, some of you might be seeing these PPs for the first time, whether you are or whether you are not. Please make sure on the top right of the screen there you put some comments in the chat. We already had some at the beginning of the show, but now we're going to really deep dive here. And of course, we're going to show some replays, Justin. So any
Yep.
replays you'd like me to bring
Okay.
up, let me know. So
Okay.
this is the first race of the pick five. Sorry, let me go back to the top of the screen for everyone. This is the Grade 2 Santa Anita Mathis Mile Stakes. It's for restricted 3-year-olds on the turf, going a mile, 200,000. I thought this was a very, very difficult race. So the fact that you're only going too deep interests me a lot, Justin, because if you can get away with only going too deep in this race, that really gives you some equity going forward. And you're going with flashiest for Leonard Powell and Abel Cedillo.
Yeah. So now this horse may be the type that always finds trouble, and you know that there are those horses. You look through his comment lines, and it's riddled with trouble. His last race, he had significant trouble. And Howard, if you want to show this replay, I have a trip note on him.
Sure. Where approximately within? So he's the number.
So if you go to where they turn to the backstretch.
Sure, and he's going to be the 7 horse, folks. So let
Correct.
me. You mean right here, or you mean?
Yeah, that's good. So you can see he's down on the rail in the pink silks, and Cedillo's got a hammerlock on him. I mean, I don't know if that was the plan to drag him back that far, but Cedillo's got a hammerlock on him, and he's traveling really well. And you'll see as he comes towards the far turn, Cedillo gets indecisive, and that costs him 2 to 3 lengths. All right, so it's coming up right here.
Okay.
He's waiting, and then he doesn't know exactly where to go. And right there, he's sort of lost his position, and it cost him a couple lengths when the 10 horse was moving. Now you're going to watch that he's again going to he's going to briefly steady inside the 8th pole, which is not in the PPs.
Right there.
Right there. Yep. And then he's going to finish running through the wire. And if you keep it rolling on the gallop out, Howard, he's got a really good gallop out as well. So there's a few spots that there was some subtle trouble. So
he's right here, folks, on the gallop out right there.
Yeah.
I'll let it go a little bit. I'll let it run a little further here on the gallop. He's full of run right here.
Yeah. So he's making up some ground. Anyway, that was, in my opinion, a trip where he had no chance of winning. And I think that this race is wide open enough where you're going to get every bit of that. I think let me check. He's 6-1 on the morning line. I was actually hoping for more like 8-10-1, but and
by the way, that half mile was really slow, 49-1. And if you look at that was the one that Beyond Brilliant won. And again, I don't mean to cut you off, but
no, please.
These are important points that need to be made, folks, because if you look, the race pretty much held together. I mean, you look at the charts up on the screen. Is that correct? Because I'm not looking at is the chart up on the screen right now? Yeah.
Yep.
So if you look at the chart, folks, you see at the quarter mile, Beyond Brilliant was on the lead. Santine did come from deep, but Kafkin Peak was third, finished in third. Again, the 4th horse was 6th. Subconscious was 4th, finished 5th. So again, Flashiest really is the one probably with the best. Let me look at the incremental split here. Here's the last what is this, 1/8 of a mile here?
Yeah.
In 11.32, which is pretty fast.
Yeah. So and the shuffle on the far turn, it did cost him 2 or 3 lengths. And so I think that was meaningful, significant trouble. So he's going to be my top play. And the other horse I'm going to use is De Jour. I think he's the classiest. He's 3-1 on the morning line. I think he's going to get a great trip. I think he's going to sit the pocket trip saving ground behind the 5 Cane Creek Road and behind Beyond Brilliant. And I think, he's going to get first run. And if he's good enough turning for home, he's going to have every chance. Pratt's going to put him in the right position, and he's 2 for 2 at Santa Anita. The Santa Anita, the Saratoga Derby, he ran pretty well that day, given the competition and given the ship. And then in the Dueling Grounds Derby at Kentucky Downs over the yielding course, I don't know. It seems to me that none of these California horses ever run well over yielding course. I'll talk about that. I'll come up again on one of our later races. But
Sure.
So for me, it's the 6 and the 7. And if I was going to throw in the third, it would be the 9 Law Professor, who was gelded 3 starts back before he made his first turf start. And real quick, we don't have to show this replay, but I did have a trip on Law Professor also.
I had a trip for sure.
Okay, good. So you see the same thing that I saw.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
He steadied slightly shortly after arriving down the backside. He was 4-5 wide on the second turn, which is not the winning trip at Del Mar.
No.
And he didn't switch leads until the 8th pole.
He's the 9 here. He's the 9 here, folks.
He's the 9. Yeah. And actually he ends up winning pretty easily with the I call it the anti-Del Mar trip, which is the 4 wide, 3 wide, 4 wide trip, which usually doesn't win at Del Mar.
Look where he's in the parking lot right now.
Yep.
It's insane.
Yep. And then
I'll fast forward. He's going to be wide again here.
Yep.
Let me bring it up to the far turn. He's going to be making this wider move in yellow. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so, that's one of those subtle turf trips that you learn to look for. The 3 wide, 3 wide, or the 4 wide, 4 wide trip is a lot of times a no chance turf trip, especially at a place like Del Mar. So for him to still win, and you'll watch as he crosses the wire, he wins actually pretty easily in the end. The problem I have, Howard, is that he might get the same trip today from the 9 post, and so I do. He would be my third horse, and then here he is. He doesn't switch leads till the 8th pole. There he goes, switches leads, and it's virtually a hand ride from here. And I think he's sort of just pulled up just short of the wire, and so he won pretty easily. But anyway, that would be my third horse I would include if I was going to add another. Howard, I'll let you talk more about him since you like him.
Yeah, let me go back to his PPs. So I do have Du Jour on top, as everyone can see. But Justin, I'm most likely going to play in the live money contest through Express Bet that they have on opening day. It's one of my favorite contests of the year because this is one of my favorite cards of the year. And I don't mind saying this because there's going to be a lot of really great handicappers out there that probably won't be concerned about what I'm playing. This is going to be one of my main plays of the day. I'm using Law Professor on top and in second, especially king this horse in tries in first and second, probably linking some doubles to this horse as well. If he can tuck in, and we're not Nostradamus here. If he can get any kind of trip based on that last replay and the fact that Jose Ortiz is flying in and McCarthy's keeping with him, boy, I love everything about this horse. And you know what, Justin, another angle I love improving 3-year-olds at this time of year. You mentioned, Hot Rod Charlie, he might be a little bit over the top. It's been a long season. It has not been a long season for Law Professor. He hasn't raced, he had one race since June 18th. I see no reason why he can't pop a low to mid 90, a career top right here. I love this horse. What was his morning line again? Say 10-1.
He's 8-1 morning line.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. My value line of Law Professor, I'd say it'd be 4-1, maybe 5-1.
Yeah, he's got to be juicy for you then. Your eyes must be lighting up.
No one's watching this show, right?
Yeah, right.
Everyone bet Law Professor on Sunday.
Yeah.
No, I like this horse a lot, Justin. My other choice, Beyond Brilliant, he's in very good form right now. I like the 2-back he won without the lead. But I sort of feel like last time was the time, and he's going to be a much lower price on Sunday. And then I agree, Du Jour also can win, but I like the outside horses best in this race. Any other thoughts before we move on to the next?
No, let's keep going.
Let's go it. Let's do it. Next race 8, the La Brea. Fantastic race, grade 1, 3-year-old restricted fillies. They're going 7 furlongs. Let me go ahead and put us on the screen and also switch our picks there. And Justin, you're going with the 3 horse in this race, which is not the favorite at all. You're on with Calypso.
Yeah. So let me run down the morning line. Canoodling 8-1, Eddie's New Dream 15-1, Calypso 5-1, Private Mission 8-5, Missy P 5-2, which I don't get at all.
Wow.
Brilliant Cut 12-1, and Living My Best Life 7-2.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't have a lot of conviction. I went 4 deep in the pick 5. I used 3, 4, 6, 7 in
Okay.
this race. You know, I remember Baffert saying on the Steve Bick show in late winter that a mile might be stretching it for Calypso, but he went ahead and ran her a couple times at a mile and a 16th. I think she's going to be perfect, and I love that he shows confidence, bringing her right into the La Brea. Of course, it's versus straight 3-year-olds, and I love that he's bringing her back in this spot, even though he has Private Mission as well. I love that, courtesy of XSpeed TV, you can watch some of these works. I loved her last work. I'm not an expert on watching morning works, but I know what I'm looking at. And she was smooth, fluid, and relaxed with her ears pricked for that easy half-mile breeze. I don't know the trip that she's going to get. I think she's fast enough. If off the layoff they send, she can get the lead. With Private Mission and Living My Best Life coming out of route races, I think she can get the lead. I don't think she needs the lead. And so she's going to be my top pick. I'm going to use Private Mission. I'm going to use Brilliant Cut, just because I loved a couple of her last few works. I know that last race came up slow, but I know Ortiz takes the call, and I think she might fall into a good trip. And then I'm going to use reluctantly, I'm going to use Living My Best Life. I'm totally against Missy P. So I don't have any big trip notes in this race,
Okay.
but it's more of a 5-1 morning line is fine by me. And I think Baffert shows confidence. I love the work, and she can work out a trip from down there. So yeah, 3 on top for me.
Okay. I have a pretty strong opinion in this race, I will say. First of all, we have a strong opinion from C Money, who believes that Missy P, her debut was fantastic, for Papa Mandela. If she can improve, etc., being the game. C Money, who's a great viewer of the show, thanks for joining the show, loves Private Mission. I got to tell you, I totally agree with C Money here. I understand what you're saying with Calypso. I think this is an interesting pick. My problem with Calypso, Justin, is what about the outside horse? I mean, there's no way, shape, or form that I see Calypso, getting an easy lead. And even if she does, I'm not really sure she's good enough. And the outside horse, to me, Living My Best Life, is an absolute speedball. So I don't really like the setup for Calypso. I don't mean to rain on your parade, but
no,
listen, it's
that's
the other
handicapping.
It's the other Baffert, right, Justin? And how many times have we seen this before?
True
the
that.
other Chad, the other etc.
Right.
I think Private Mission. Here's how I see this race developing. I think Baffert is absolutely sending hard Calypso. I think Living My Best Life also has to go. And I see Private Mission just seeing an absolute great stalking trip. I love the turn back here, Justin. It's one of my favorite angles. I hated Private Mission in the Breeders' Cup race. The distaff race, even though I didn't have the bomb on top, the race flow developed exactly how I thought it would. In fact, I said on my show, I thought Baffert would be sending with Private Mission from the inside. I hated her in this race. I love her in this spot. There isn't too much to say. I will say about Missy P, just so everyone knows, who I have in second, and I would be my only other horse I would use in this race, and I would use her very defensively. The last work, Justin, 125 handily on that day. Just to let you know, and everyone know out there, Hot Rod Charlie also worked 7 furlongs that day, 2 seconds slower. Again, it's a 7 furlong work. Take it whatever it's worth. But Missy P outworked. They weren't working together, but Missy P outworked Hot Rod Charlie by 2 seconds on that day. So Mandela did say he wanted to get an allowance race into this horse before this race. So he would prefer to have an actual race before this one. But I'm going to trust Mandela, and I think Missy P is going to sit off the speed a little bit. And if anyone upsets Private Mission, to me, it is Missy P. But when you said 5-2, no thanks. This horse would have to be 5-1 for me to bet this horse on the win end. Any other thoughts before we move on? What about Canoodling? Neither one of us. Canoodling ran a big race last time, but this is a much, much more difficult spot, don't you think?
Yeah, and I'm not sure what kind of a trip that horse is going to work out from the rail. And like you said, it was against inferior competition. No thanks for me on Canoodling.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, that the horse that finished second, was sort of in declining form, and behind that, there was no one in the race, with all due respect. So, but I think Canoodling might take a little money just because of out of respect for Mike Pipey, and is a closer in a race with some speed. All right, let's move on to the next race. Justin, I thought race 9, even though it's not one of the stake races, might be the toughest race of the entire card. Actually, I thought this was a very difficult race, and I'm totally against certain horses here. Let me go ahead and bring up your picks.
Sure.
Before I do that, it's down the hill. It's allowance 6.5 furlongs for 3-year-old fillies and up. And you can go ahead and talk while I bring up your selections.
Okay. I think Fantail is going to take a lot of money, and I'm not totally against that horse, but on the win end at the price that I think this horse is gonna go off at, I'm not interested at all.
More lines just popped up for everyone. It just happened, folks, in real time.
Perfect.
So now you don't have to run them now. Run them down.
Great.
Justin. Go ahead.
5-2 morning line. No, thank you for me. So
crazy.
My top choice is going to be Callan Colon for Sadler and Hernandez. If you want to bring this trip up, Howard, maybe at the half-mile pole approaching the far turn, if you can do that.
Yep.
She had to idle for a while and ease her way out. And what's key about this is that the winner had a great trip, skimming along the rail. The
right
perfect
here, good?
Del Mar trip. Yeah. So
the 2, right here.
She's the 2. All right. So here, right about here, she's waiting. She waits right there. She's waiting, and she has to move laterally to swing out 4 or 5 wide while the winner is down along the rail. And she ends up basically running this horse down. And although this was only a maiden special weight, I don't think this non-winners of 1 is very tough at all. So I do not mind at all a sharp maiden winner coming out of a maiden special weight. She gets a rider upgrade, in my opinion, from Pereira and Giroux to Hernandez, and she galloped out right with the winner. And so I think that she's live from mid-pack. She's 8-1 morning line, and I like her. The other horse is another Eddie, and that horse had a trip too. Howard, if you can click on the first part of the race, it says jump track, steadied early, but it looked like he was spooked by the dirt.
Yeah, and I watched this replay. Actually, you're exactly right.
And if you watch afterwards, it costs him 4 lengths. Mm-hmm. So right about here, when he crosses the dirt, the 2 horse,
right there,
he got spooked.
I'm going to go ahead and rewind it one more time so people.
Yeah, sure.
Watch the 2, everyone. Go ahead.
And then watch afterwards how far the first 4 horses distance himself from him.
Yeah.
He loses 4 lengths and he loses all position.
Absolutely. That's legitimate 4 lengths, I would say, right there. 3,
Yeah.
3.5, 4 lengths.
Yeah, keep it running, Howard, for a little bit longer.
Sure.
Yeah, and then so you can see right here, that's he was right with them at the break, and now he's found himself in a position where he has to make up a ton of ground. With his body type and the style, I think this horse should love the downhill layout, 6.5 furlongs. And at the end of the race, if you watch this, he was not ridden very aggressively. I think that Gutierrez knew that might have taken a lot out of him. And so he didn't ask him for his best there at the end. I think he's got more to give. I think he's going to love the 6.5 furlongs. So he's my second choice. He's a definite use for me. And then I'm also using Fantail defensively. And then I'm using Inner Beauty, who absolutely had no chance in his last start. I mean, he made a mess of the break. And I don't know if he has any talent, but Ortiz takes them out. I thought I was going to see 12, 15 to 1 morning line. He's 8 to 1 morning line. So I think at 8 to 1, I'm not sure I would probably use as a B or a C as a saver, but he made a mess of the break and he had no chance in that last race. So for me, it's Calonne and another Eddie, and then defensively Fantail and maybe a little bit of Inner Beauty as a saver.
So I'm going to put us on screen here, Justin. Here's my opinion of this race, and we have 2 more races to cover. Sorry, do you need to leave us at 6, Justin, or can we go?
No. I'm good. I have to be on. Actually, I'm doing a show at the Racing Dudes at 6:30, so I'm good up until then.
Okay, so we're gonna go a little past 6 if you don't mind, because I have nothing but time, and I really want to give people a full dive if we can. So I really do appreciate your time. But you know, you don't need the Racing Dudes. Just hang on here for. I'm just kidding. Right. I've been on their show. Those guys are great. As you can see my picks, Justin, this is where I'm just going with some wacko kind of out of the box. This is the race that might make or break my pick 5 sequence. First of all, let me say that the another Eddie and Calonne, is that I think it's pronounced? I'm using them as B horses. Okay. I didn't bring this out in the show, folks. I have, as most people know, I have what I believe is a fantastic race day blog where I give ABC, Ticketmaker, and I give a lot of spot plays and other things as well that I don't talk about on the show, specifically on the podcast. So I do have the 2 horses that you have as Bs, even though you don't see them on my screen. First of all, the number 1 Fantail, folks, got the dream trip of a century last time and still couldn't get the job done. Listen, it's Pratt. Can that horse win? Yes. I'm using that horse, by the way, as a B. I'm totally against that horse on the win end. Perfect Chip didn't get there. As you can see, I like Inner Beauty. I'm not going to get into a lot of details other than this is a speed horse, Justin, in my opinion, that has really not been fully realized. Last time, or 2 starts back, this horse does not want to go 1 mile and 1/8. But that was an improvement. Last time, when Rock showed the replay, like you said, Pereira did not use this horse. He tried to rate. I don't know why. This is a speed horse. I'm hoping Jose Ortiz just sends, and I think this horse can absolutely win at a price in a race, again, Justin, where I don't see a lot of speed, early speed in this race. And this is a total, in Ortiz, I trust, and also the pace factor. So I'm very interested in Inner Beauty here. The other horse I like, and I saw that someone, was this, hold on, I got to see the comment line because I don't listen, C Money. Let me tell you something about C Money. We didn't talk at all, Justin. I love C Money. Yeah. I love this guy. C Money, I totally agree with you. I love everything that you have about this horse, C Money. C Money. I don't know if this horse is going to win, but I agree. Let me talk about this horse a little bit. Glazka Gal was horrible last time, Justin. Horrible.
Yep.
But in a race to me, where she was completely outclassed. I don't know if she wants to go that far. When you go back to her European form, she seems to be more of a sprinter. And I think, again, everything that C Money said, the Lasix, blah, 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 Price, Cedillo. I don't know. This horse interests me a lot, especially because her European sprint form was good, Justin. So I don't know. I'm price shopping. Maybe this horse can't run at all, but I do like the Lasix, etc. And I have no problem with those other horses that you picked. I've got the 3 Ultimate High, who's in 3rd, basically mainly on numbers. But again, this is a closer who is 2 for 8, and I'm not sure there's enough speed to set it up. But I do like cutbacks going down the hill, Justin. So
she's gonna. I think she's gonna be way back early. I would prefer Howard. Cutbacks that have shown at least a modicum of speed, going a route of ground, cutting back.
By the way,
like,
monicum is way too many syllables on this show. Save that.
I heard
Save that
somebody say
vocab
it.
for
I heard
racing
somebody say
dudes
it today
and
on a
those
podcast,
sharpies
so
out there.
I brought it over.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I thought you'd appreciate that.
Yeah. So and 4-1 morning line. I thought she should have won that last race, and she didn't. It looked like she hung a little bit. If the pace gets hot, she, like you said, I think just about anyone can win this race except the 4, and I don't love the 9, but I also see a case for the 5. I mean, if I was paying an ABC, he would be on my BC line as well. He'd probably be my 4th choice, my 5th choice actually. But I can see a scenario where he wins as well.
Yeah, I'm using 6 horses of the, what are they, 9 this race? Or 8, 9, yeah. Christmas Surprise would be a Christmas Surprise. Of course, that's the Moto nameplay there. But I mean, this is wide open, folks. I think we all get the idea. I love your trip notes on your 2 horses, especially, and I did see both of them. And you go a lot of ways in this race. All right, folks, we got 2 more races to cover, and then Justin's got to get to another show. Again, I appreciate the extra time you're giving us today, Justin. And by the way, if I don't have time at the end, we'd love to have you back at another time.
I'd love to be back, Howard.
Be interested.
Yeah. Love to be back.
Terrific. Let's talk about the big race here, or at least to me, the big race. This is the Grade 1, $300,000, 7 furlongs for older horses. It's the Malibu. It's usually I'd say it's the feature race of the card. And wow, is this a short field, but a serious field? Let me go ahead and bring up our selections there. We have quite, I would say, relatively different opinions here, considering it is a small field. And we'll show the pick 5 tickets here at the end of the show, Justin. But you are going with Dr. Schivel.
Yeah. Sometimes I worry about horses coming off Breeders' Cup because they were primed for a peak effort. And then Brad Free, I probably shouldn't bring this up because I can't quote it exactly, but there's something like 5, 6, 7 out of the last 10 winners of the Malibu have come out of a Breeders' Cup race, something to that effect. Anyway, if you look it up in the article he wrote, he wrote that down. Anyway, so that's anyway, let's get to Dr. Schivel's trip. I don't think you necessarily have to show this because everybody probably saw it, but he ran a sub 22 second quarter and moved through that second quarter to be the only one that lasted from the horses that were up on the pace. Of course, he got run down late by Aloha West, and then he rebroke and galloped out a length 2 or 3 past Aloha West. I think this is a really talented horse. I think he's going to let Flightline go by him. I think he's going to sit off of Flightline. I think he's got enough speed. His second call pace figures are fast enough to keep up with Flightline. I don't know what Baby Yoda is going to do from the rail. Maybe they send him. I don't know what happened. I didn't watch that last trip. I don't know why he was so far back early. But he has much more speed than that with Ortiz from the rail, who likes to descend, especially in dirt races. I could talk
to that race if you'd like, real quick.
Yeah, please. What happened there?
He just broke a little. There's the Dr. Schivel. By the way, Aloha West getting up was great for me. But anyway, I know bad for a lot of people with Dr. Schivel. He just didn't break great, and then he just got bumped. I'm not going to show the replay. He just didn't break on top, basically.
Okay.
I mean, so
got it. So he has more speed than he's shown. And Flightline, I'm always going to play against these horses. I played against him in his second race, which turned out in hindsight to be a silly move. These horses that run these huge figures, you just don't see them continuing to run huge figures. I mean, at some point, it seems like the wheels come off. And I know they've been very patient with him. I know that they've pointed to this. They skipped the Breeders' Cup for this race. I got to tell you, he's coming off Lasix for the first time. I think with him being 3 to 5, 4 to 5, I think Dr. Schivel is going to set the perfect trip. And then I have a negative trip note on Triple Tap. He got the perfect setup. He sat 7th and then 6th and watched 3 horses duel up front. and ran by him late. The comment line says inhaled foes, but I mean, they were all going backwards at that point. They mixed it up pretty heavily through the second quarter, and he got the perfect setup. I don't see him getting this setup again. I don't think he's talented enough to run these horses down. By the way, one more note on Dr. Schivel. I love that he's going back to straight 3-year-olds from his last 4 races where he's faced older. And so I think that's a recipe for a win for him. That second quarter when he ran sub 21, sub 22 and kept going and then galloped out past Aloha West was all I needed to see.
Okay. Listen, I'm very honest on this show, Justin. Sometimes I have selections that work out great, just like everyone else. Sometimes they don't. I was completely against Dr. Schivel in the Breeders' Cup. I didn't think he classed up. I thought 2 starts back, when he had that loose rein, he just got an easy lead against a very weak sprint division out in California. He ran much better than I thought in the Breeders' Cup. Full credit to the connections, ran fantastic. Let me just talk about my top pick, and then I'll go back to Dr. Schivel real quick. So I've heard a few people compare Flightline to Nashville. Not because Nashville just dropped a bomb at the Oklahoma's comeback, but Nashville of course ran 2 big figs going 6 furlongs. Very similar to Flightline, and then Nashville wet the bed in the Malibu last year, as everyone probably remembers. I respectfully, Flightline is not Nashville, in my opinion, folks. This is first of all, he's bred to go longer. Number one, number two, just the way he strides out. This is a bigger horse that I think will have no issue with the 7 furlongs. And although I completely agree with you, Justin, that at some point, what is he going to run, a 120 in this race? I mean, obviously at some point he's going to regress. I love the setup here because I love the fact he's outside of Dr. Schivel and he's outside of the speed. I think Flavian will just break well. Last time, granted, it was a fairly weak field, but he was not on the lead. He rated. And by the way, Escape Route, who finished second, Justin, as you probably know, is running earlier on the card. And Escape Route's not like a bum. I mean, he's a nice allowance horse running mid-90s, and he absolutely blew by that horse like he was standing still. I just think this is Flightline's race to lose. I love this horse. I do respect Dr. Schivel, who I have in third. My concern is twofold here, Justin. Number one, I don't like the fact he's inside the better horses. And number two, I'm not sure about the 7 furlongs. I mean, I suppose he can get it, but I think that is a question. I mean, it's a question for Flightline too. But just, I don't know. I'm a little against Dr. Schivel on the win end here. If he wins, I won't be surprised. Very quickly about Triple Tap. I was there at the Breeders' Cup, Justin, and I watched Triple Tap. This was the first race of the card. And yes, he got a fantastic setup, a great setup. But watching him in person, Justin, I mean, this horse, his stride is huge. He's extremely talented. And by the way, you see the final time there of 108.44. I'm going to scroll up. The time for Dr. Schivel, same distance, 108.49. I understand the pace was different, the trips different, blah, blah, blah. But he is capable of running as fast as Dr. Schivel. At least that's my opinion. And I think the extra distance helps Triple Tap and might not help Dr. Schivel. However, like you said, Triple Tap got a dream setup, but it's Baffert, and I'm very intrigued. So I think it's those top 3. If anyone else wins, I'll be shocked. Stiletto Boy on the cutback, maybe a little bit interesting underneath, but it should be a hell of a race, Justin. How low would you go on Dr. Schivel before we go to the last race real quick?
Sorry, say that again, Howard.
Sorry, what's your value line on Dr. Schivel? Something that Matt Miller asked earlier. How low would you go with him on the win end before we talk about the last race?
9 to 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
You really wow.
I like him. Okay. I like him quite a bit. I think he's a really good horse. And the 7 furlongs doesn't concern me because of the way he galloped out and the way the horse is made. And like I said, I think he's got enough tactical speed to let Flightline go by him early and then get to his flank or to spy him from a length or so off. And anyway, that's the way I envision it. And then run him down in the stretch. So, but I mean, I can't fault anybody who believes Flightline is the real deal based on his numbers. Yeah. Based on his numbers so far. The Lasix thing worries me a little bit. I think at 3 to 5, he's going to have to prove it to me that he can run without Lasix before I jump in there.
Okay, that Lasix thing is always an issue.
Yeah.
We've talked about this on the show, as if handicapping's not hard enough, right? You got to worry
Exactly.
about who's on or off Lasix. We're gonna
It's
spend about
maddening. It's mad.
yeah, for
We
sure.
could go for another 20 minutes on that
Oh
subject
yeah, yeah,
alone.
yeah. We're going to take about 5 minutes on this last race. Justin, I'll
Okay.
go ahead and talk through your pick 5 ticket and let you take a little break for the next show. So we'll
Yeah.
just talk about this race and then let you go. The last race, and this is another very difficult race, down the hill. It's the Grade 1 American Oaks. It starts on the downhill. Mile quarter turf, restricted 3-year-old fillies. And you are going with the 3-horse here, closing remarks for Carla Gaines and Joe Bravo.
Yeah. Can you queue up the August 21st race, Howard, and then get to like midway down the backside?
Sure can. Your wish
Thanks.
is my command, sir.
Thank you, sir. This is nice. This is nice.
We have Ivy.
Oh, sorry, I got to turn the sound off.
So you're going to
down
see
the
down
backstretch, right?
Yeah, down the backside. You're going to see down the backside. She's traveling very well. Her ears, ears are up. She's the 1 horse on the rail there. Yep. So she's in a really nice stride. Her ears are up. And then you're going to see when Rispoli is ready to move on the far turn, she's going to run out of room. And it says weighted upper, and she does wait. But then she does wait again from the top of the stretch to the 8th pole while the other 2 horses have better. So, okay, so here we go. We're making our way on a far turn. Here it looks like he can go as the other horses are starting to move, and he's waiting and he's waiting and he's waiting and he's waiting. And then he looks to have some room, and then he's waiting some more and he's waiting some more. But the 3-horse who is going global has already launched a bid.
Yeah.
And now this horse is going to get out, and he's going to come pretty well close to running down going global, who got his momentum going a lot sooner than closing remarks. So with the difference in morning lines on these two and the trip that I envision closing remarks getting, I think because she has more speed than both Fluffy Socks and Core Values, I think she's going to find herself on the rail. I think she's going to really like the 1.25 miles. Not so much on her pedigree, but by the way she runs. And I'm just tossing that Keeneland effort totally over the yielding turf course. I was hoping she was higher than 6 to 1. I feel like this is a theme, but maybe we'll get more than 6 to 1.
Can I jump in here a second?
Yeah, please do.
Real quick, first of all, the gallop out, she was ahead of Glowing Global. Again, Everyone's got a different opinion of gallop outs, but clearly closing remarks had more horse. Yep. Excellent point taken, Justin. And the other is the turf. They're going to get a little rain out in California this week. It's not going to be yielding. It's not going to be Keeneland yielding. But I just want to let everyone know out there, this is not going to be like rock hard, firm California turf they're going to be running on Sunday. It's going to have some give in it. So good horses point. That do have run and with some give in it, I would upgrade because it is not going to be rock hard Sunday.
Good point. That's
you
interesting.
Got the 1 in second.
I didn't think about that. Yeah. So the other horses I'm using are Fluffy Socks. I think Fluffy Socks is going to absolutely love the 1.25 miles. Her last race was deceptive as well. Rosario didn't start riding her until inside the eighth pole. She was 3 wide on the first turn, which doesn't show up in the PPs either. She won with a lot left, and he rode her with a lot of confidence, and she was getting better as she crossed the line at 1.125 miles. So I think she's going to love the 1.25 miles. I'm using the 1 Fluffy Socks, the 3 closing remarks. I think the horse who's going to be loose is Burgo Alley. I'm not sure if the horse can go 1.25 miles, but Rispoli's on board, and I think the horse is going to be on the lead. And
any comments about any quick comment about the question down below by Chris? I think it's a valid point.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a valid point. I'm hoping that adds to the value on closing remarks. I try not to play the jockey game too much because sometimes the inner workings, you don't know, but I can try to couch that as a way to get some value. And I don't don't see anything wrong with. I have no problem betting Joe Bravo on the turf in California.
Yeah.
So yeah, Burgo Alley's gonna get loose, and then I'm gonna use Going Global. So I'm using 3-1-5-7 in that order.
Yeah. I'll just be real brief here. I mean, going global is the obvious choice. Distance, maybe a little bit concerned. The way that this horse won on Breeders' Cup Day was just blew me away. I mean, she won so easily against Older. If she gets the distance, I think she's going to be very tough. The one I'm interested in, and I like the 8-1, is at a price, is Nicest, who got a very good trip last time, no problem. But of all these horses, Justin, a lot of these horses, you're not sure about the distance. I know distance is not a problem for Nicest. Is she talented enough? That's a whole other question, but I think she's going to set a great trip. And I'm not concerned about distance, and I am concerned about distance with a few others. So I think Nicest is interesting. I agree with you on Fluffy Socks. I'm going to go ahead and bring it back on screen here. And folks, what we're going to do, let me go ahead and take this off and let Justin go here. Justin, I'm actually going to take the PPs off here as well. Give me one second, please.
Sure.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you go here in a minute so you can get ready for the next show. And if you don't mind, I'll just go ahead and go through your pick 5 ticket that you gave me. Before we let you go here, Justin, first of all, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you for spending a few extra minutes as well beyond the time. Any last thoughts about Santa Anita? Johnny V is going to be staying there for the entire meet, which is exciting. Or anything else going on with Trip Note Pros you just want to mention?
Yeah, I'm excited for the Santa Anita meet, and take advantage of Trip Note Pros. Go to Santa Anita website and sign up for free, and take advantage of it. You'd be surprised if you put your trust in those trip notes, and I'm telling you that you can. It'll save you a lot of time. There are going to be times when you're not going to feel like watching certain replays or any replays, and you'll have those at your disposal every day of the Santa Anita meet. So please give it a try, and I'm pretty sure that you'll love it. See money, thanks. Trip Note Pros rocks. Appreciate that. Howard, thank you so much for having me on. This is a blast. Anytime I can talk racing with somebody, I'd love to do it. And it was really, really nice meeting you. And please, anytime, I'd be happy to come on and rap about some horses.
It's been a pleasure to meet you. And I heard actually had one person, I'm not going to email, said, why you bring a Trip Note Pros? Doesn't that like sort of go against your own blog that I sent out? Because I thought, listen, guys, I've talked about this with the Racing Dudes guys. I'm not here to compete with people. I think the more information out there for people, Justin, the best. If people don't want to purchase my blog and want to go to Trip Note Pros, that's fine. I could live with that. We just want to get you folks the most information possible and let you make that final determination on what note you like more or which one you agree with or whatever. So, Justin, we'd love to have you on. You are articulate. You were awesome. You dealt with my crap that I threw your way. We like to have fun on this show. Good luck to you on Sunday. It was a real pleasure meeting you, and go crush it at Santa Anita this entire meet. Thanks again.
I appreciate it, Howard. Good luck on Sunday and the rest of the meet.
Thanks, Justin. Take care. Appreciate it. All right, take care. Bye-bye. All right, folks, that was Justin Christein. What a fantastic. And Justin, by the way, if I mispronounce your last name, I apologize. I meant to get Justin on a little bit before our show started, but I had a little bit of a tech issue. Folks, we're not done yet. We're almost done, though. Very quickly, first of all, let me put this banner on screen. So let me show you our picks, folks. Here's our pick 5 selection. I'm going to put Justin's on first. That was Justin's Caveman. I asked him to put on a sub $100 pick 5 ticket. There you see. As he mentioned on the show, he's only going 2 deep in the first leg, and he is singling Dr. Scheibel in the Malibu. Gutsy will not be the favorite. I love that. When I say gutsy, I mean it's not the top choice. So I like the balls he's showing there. Dr. Scheibel can absolutely win. Not my top selection, but wouldn't be surprised if Dr. Scheibel wins. And then you see he's going 4 deep in the last. There's his $80 ticket. Again, you can write that down, or if you're watching as a replay, of course, you can just rewind it. Here's my play. This is for $90. As you see, I'm going 5 deep in the first leg. I'm going 4 or 5. I'm only using Private Mission and Missy P, I believe is the name in the La Brea. I'm going very deep in that 9th race down the hill turf sprint. I'm signaling Flightline. And again, folks, I've talked about this infinitum. This is not the ticket I'm playing Sunday. If I were to play a caveman ticket for a somewhat smaller amount, this would be my play. I would just take a stand with Flightline. I love this spot for him. I think this horse is super duper talented. I sort of feel about Flightline like I feel with Life is Good. I just think this is one of the most talented horses in the country, and I don't mind the extra distance. If I had to single somewhere, it would be with Flightline, and then I'd go 1, 4, 5 in the American Oaks, but I'd be nervous. I'm using the 7 in that race. I have a bunch of horses. I'm just looking down. Again, in my ABC, I'm using many horses in that race, but my top 3 choices in no particular order. Well, in order would be 5, 4, 1. That would be my caveman pick 5. Let's see. We got a few other comments here, and then we'll go and wrap up the show. Give me a second here. Chris Mack. Chris, thanks for joining the show. Really appreciate it. I haven't seen your name too much on my show, so if you're a new viewer, thanks, Chris. Let's get some more people involved. I really feel like we give high quality advice and selections here and replays and information on the show. So thank you very much, Chris, for joining the show, and let's get some more people on the show. C Money. Yeah, go and watch this replay. See Money, I agree with you on a lot of selections. So for better or for worse, See Money, we're either gonna have a great day or a lousy day on Sunday. But again, this has been a fantastic show. I want to thank Justin Christein from Trip Note Pros. Sign up, folks, for that free month using. Let me go ahead and bring up that link one more time so you can find out where to do that. Hold on one second for Trip Note Pros. There it is, folks. Hold on. There it is. SantaAnita.com/Trip Note Pros. Sign up. You get a free month of Trip Note Pros. Highly recommend you look into that. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that it's going to wrap it up because I'm going to be going out to dinner soon, and then I have to get some sleep for a drive up to Ocala to see my baby boy, my baby girl, and give them a little pep talk so that they're ready for next summer. Thanks for watching. This has been Howard Kravitz and episode 102 of the HHH Racing Podcast. Look forward to seeing you next Thursday, a week from tomorrow as we're filming this. Not sure of the guest or the time, but please keep watching. Make sure you subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, and also hit that notification button. Look forward to seeing you next week, and good luck on Sunday at Santa Anita opening day. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great night. Take care.